Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes as we wait for our panelists to hop on and join us. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, we're going to get started soon. I'm just waiting for our panelists to come in and get set up. So just hang in there, please. Hi, Al.
Good morning. I am
All right, while Al's getting set up, everybody, I'll introduce myself. My name is Laura. I work for SCORE Akron. I'm here to kind of be in the background to answer any questions on the chat, Q&A, and keep track. If you have questions throughout, you can raise your hand, type in the chat, or even in the Q&A, and I'll make sure that Al's able to answer those questions for you. At the end of today, you will get a recording of this later today, as well as the PowerPoint so that you have a copy of it. That's about all I have. So Al's getting us ready here.
I think we're ready.
All right, take it away.
As Laura said, we invite questions all throughout our discussion this morning. So if you have a question on your mind, it's a good chance somebody else does. So you be the brave one and ask it. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to begin with a commercial. I've got to talk about SCORE, tell you who we are and what we are. And then talk about where to begin business planning, and then what do you do next? So that's kind of our agenda for this morning. So SCORE, it's a national organization. It's a partner of the SBA. We have over 10,000 volunteers spread across about 300 chapters across the country. We're part of the Akron chapter, which serves the 5-county area of Medina, Summit, Wayne, Portage, and Mahoning counties. And we have about 40 mentors locally that are here to help you. We have a mission to help small businesses. We're all about small businesses, and we do it through two things. We do it through mentoring and education. And our vision is to make sure that every person, every business has the necessary resources to be successful. We've been at this since 1964. We haven't got there yet, but we sure would like to hope that someday every person that wants to have a business will have the resources they need to start their business. As I said, we do it through mentoring, which is one-on-one. We do it face-to-face. We do it by Zoom. We do it by phone. And if you have a question, we'll answer it. Maybe that's the first time and last time you talk to us, but I have clients I've worked with for 12 years as they've grown their business and modified their businesses, add on to their business. It's important for you to realize that the mentoring we do is done by volunteers, so it's free and it's confidential between you and your mentor. So nobody else talks about that except you and your mentor. You can, but your mentor will not. Workshops we do, we have done them in person. We aren't doing many in person anymore, but starting your business, running your business, managing your business, financing your business, and business planning, which we're doing today. If you want to schedule a meeting with a SCORE advisor, SCORE mentor, SCORE counselor, it's akron.score.org, or there's our phone number. And as Laura said, you're going to get this at the end of the presentation. If you want to have a business plan, where do you start? And where's a good place to start? You've thought about this, you're thinking about starting a business, so where do you start? The first question you should ask yourself is, why am I writing a business plan? Because not all business plans are the same. And it depends on what you're going to do with that business plan that dictates, what that business plan should be. So, for example, if you're going to a bank for financing, that's one business plan. It's much more extensive. And a business plan that goes to a bank is really a selling document. It's to convince the banker that you're a solid business. It's going to be a growing business, and the banker will get their money back, because that's all they care about as a banker. How do I get my money back? If it's just for you to track your progress, that's a different business plan. If it's for you to go to investors, that's yet a different plan. So think about the reasons that you want to have a business plan. And when you work with your advisor, design that business plan for the purpose to which it's intended. And please, please do not use the SCORE template. The SCORE business planning template has been designed that one size fits all. So whatever kind of business you might have, retail business, wholesale business, service business, professional services business, it's got that all in there. And if you read that template and you said, oh man, what is all this stuff? You'll be confused. So don't do that. Talk to your advisor first and design a business plan that's right for you and your business. What is a business plan? It's a roadmap to get to where you want to go. It's a written document. It talks about the aspects of your business that are important to you and to its success. And you should update it regularly. Just like if you're planning to go to California from Ohio, you certainly want to have a map laid out on your GPS. You'd want to track your progress, especially if somebody's meeting you at the other end. They'd want to know if you're going to be there on time and so forth. So it's a way of designing your progress and then tracking your progress. And the interesting thing about designing your progress on paper, it's on paper. It doesn't cost you anything. The same way if you looked at your trip to California and said, I can't make that in a day. And maybe I shouldn't be thinking about making it a day. So you adjust your plan accordingly based on what you learned from putting your business plan together. What do you do with it? Well, it should help you identify what your business opportunities are or not. Recognizes any obstacles to startup and growth. I had a couple of ladies come to me, they were sisters, and they were going to open a restaurant. They were all ready to sign the lease. They were going to open it 3 days a week. It was a fun thing. It was a side business for them, and they were all excited about it. And I asked them, do you have a business plan? And they said, well, no. Do we need one? I said, well, yeah, I think you do. So we worked through a business plan, and lo and behold, it didn't work. The restaurant wouldn't make any money because they're only open 3 days a week. As you know anything about restaurants, it's not a 3 day a week business. But by the time they paid all their rent and bought the food and paid for the insurance and everything else, hired staff, it just didn't work for 3 days a week. So they said, well, let's redo the plan for 4 days a week. So they redid their business plan for 4 days a week, and it still didn't work. You could argue maybe it did. On a good week, it might. On not so good week, it might not. But it was kind of iffy, give or take. But for it to really work, to give them the kind of income they were looking for in their side hustle, they had to work 5 days a week. And they talked about that, and they looked at each other, and they said, 3 days a week would have been fun. 4 days a week would have been work. 5 days a week just won't work because we don't like each other that much that we want to be together for 3 meals a day, 5 days a week. So they decided not to do it. Saved them a lot of money, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of worry, a lot of suffering, a lot loss of money. So it's really a document that helps you talk through go or no go about what the business really is going to be and whether it's going to meet your objectives or not. How do you get started with a business plan? Well, number one, decide what the purpose for your business is. What are you doing? Are you starting your business? Or in this case, if you're restarting it because you've been away for a while, what is it the purpose for this business? And what does success look like for you? In the case of the three sisters, was kind of working together 3 days a week and having some fun, making a little bit of money. Once they figured out that wasn't what was going to happen, they decided not to do it. If your business is in for the long term, think about what does it look like in 2, 3, 5 years? What does that look like? What does success look like for you? You should think about what are some of the pieces, parts of a business plan that you're going to want to have. And again, I'd advise you to talk with a SCORE mentor about what you need in your plan. And then you want to do some market industry research to see if this tells you, what you want to know, and get a hold of your SCORE advisor. And that was on slide 7 above, and it's got the website name and the phone number for you to get yourself an advisor. So let's talk about an example of where the industry research paid off, or the research paid off. I had 2 gentlemen that were going to open up a drive-through beverage. Great little business, they thought. I'm sure you've seen them. They're off the side of the road. You drive through, pull through, stop in the middle, buy yourself a pack of cigarettes, a 6-pack of beer, a candy bar, a sandwich, lottery ticket, whatever they've got, chips, dips, carry out, jug of milk, take home, loaf of bread, whatever it is. You never get out of your car, pay for it with a credit card or cash, and then you drive away. Their question was, is this going to make money? And what they found in the county they were working is the county does traffic surveys, and they can tell you how many cars drive by any given street on the average day. And so they looked at that, and we ran the numbers, and when they broke it all down, the question came down to how many cars out of 100 have to stop for them to break even. So there were hundreds and hundreds of cars went by, but just to think about it, for every 100 that drive by, how many have to stop and buy something for them to make money? So as you ponder that question, how many do you think would have to stop and buy something out of 100 for them to make money? Again, knowing how many total cars actually do drive by and how much sales they have to make, you could work that backwards. Does anybody want to be brave and want to take a guess at how many cars would have to stop? No brave souls. The answer to that question isn't 5, isn't 4, isn't 3, isn't 2, it's 1. If one car out of 100 stops and buys something, they'll break even. If 2 stop, they're really in good shape, and 3 or 4 or 5 stop, then they're really doing well. So it was a clear go for them. They built their drive-through, and a month or so after they started their business, I came by on a Friday night to see how they were doing, and I was surprised at the number of cars that were backed up down the street and around the corner. And it was a Friday, happened to be payday for the industrial park up the street, and you couldn't get near the place. So I jumped out of my car, ran in, and asked one of the 2 guys. I said, "How's the business going?" He just smiles at me. I said, "Are you making good money?" He just smiles at me. And I said, "Are you glad you did it?" He just shakes his head. "Yep, I am." And so that's where the research for your business plan can really pay off. It can also tell you the other thing, just like the actually putting the business plan for the 4 sisters was. It says, "Nope, this is not something we want to do," and that's fine. That's fine. Better to learn early that this isn't a business you want to do, can do, or can make money at, than start spending money and find out too late that it doesn't work for you. So, business plan. What might that look like? But let me stop here before we go on and ask if anybody has any questions on the tee up for this.
If anyone has any questions, you can type them in or raise your hand. So far, no questions.
Okay. So the general generic format of a business plan, again, it should be tailored for you and what your need is. But if you're going to show it to anybody else, it should have an executive summary. That's the part of the document you write last after you've got everything else done. You should have a mission statement. What am I going to do? What's my vision? Where do I want to be when I grow up? What are my goals? What makes it work? If you've done some research, you could talk about that market research, the industry analysis, or whatever. You should have a marketing plan. Marketing plan is important because that's how you bring customers to you. So you should have thought about how that's going to happen. How's it going to work? Your financial plan. It's most important for if you're going to start back up again to have a really good, solid financial plan, projected financial statements, and then anything else you think you ought to include, like your resume or your team or whatever. And so that's a pretty generic one. I'd suggest, again, you work with your business advisor, your SCORE counselor, and tailor it to what you're trying to do. The executive summary, you write it last. And if you're going to the bank, remember this is a marketing document. It's a sales document. So you want it to be, somewhere between 3/4 and a page and a half in length, maximum. Because I will tell you, these bankers are busy. They get hundreds of requests for money every single week. They're not going to read a 50-page document. They're just not. So you really have about a page and a half to convince them this is a really good idea, and maybe they should read some more, or maybe not. Maybe they're happy with that page and a half. So it's a really important part of that document. So introduce your business concept, talk about your market, your niche. Where's the money going to come from, and how are you going to pay them back? And then talk about the management team, because I will tell you, bankers will bet on the team long before they bet on the business. And I've seen this happen in real life. I've seen businesses that are, you said, okay, it's good, but it may not be great, but the team was solid. The experience of the people doing it was solid. And so the bank bet on them. And I've seen business plans that were stellar plans. I mean, they looked like on paper it was going to be just a fantastic business. And you look at the team and you said, yeah, I don't think they can pull it off. And so they didn't get their financing. So that who that is, whether it's you or some others, your partners, or just people you're working with, it's really important to have that kind of experience and knowledge on your team. The mission and vision statements talk about what's your mission. A SCORE's mission is to support small businesses, and our vision is to give them the resources they need, every business. If you have guiding principles, goals, and objectives, you should talk about that in your business plan. Talk about the business concept, and then the industry and the market. Who are your customers? And the more you know about the customers, the better able you are to design your marketing plan to meet them. And what's unique about your business? What makes it special? What makes it different than anybody else? So if you're going to put a hamburger stand across the street from McDonald's, you better have a really good reason why you're better, different, slicker, neater, whatever it is. You better have that well understood. And I drive through Brunswick, Ohio every now and then, and lo and behold, there is a Starbucks on the north side. Right next door is another coffee shop called the Human Bean. As I watched them put that up, I said, that's really a pretty gutsy move. But what they have done is they have differentiated themselves in terms of the variety they have, the flavors they have, and the pricing. And believe it or not, the lines behind the Human Bean are just about as long as the lines behind Starbucks. So they understood really well how they were going to be able to compete. So this is something that's important for you in any industry if you have competitors to understand how you're going to compete. And then who are your potential customers and what's the size of this potential market? How do you find them? What do they want? What do they need? How do they behave? So another example of market research is an individual is going to put up a storage facility. I'm sure you've seen them. They're gated little communities. They've got storage sheds inside. You punch in your code, the gate opens, you drive over to your storage facility, your storage garage, and you take the padlock off and open up with stuff in there. Stuff that won't fit in your attic or your basement or your garage. You put it in a little storage shed. And so he was going to build one of those. He had the money, he had the land all picked out. And the question was, does the world need another storage facility? And so he had some homework. And his homework assignment was to get a paper map, which turned out to be a real challenge today, and put a little red dot on the paper map every place he could find one of these storage facilities. So he did a white pages search, he did an internet search, he drove around up and down streets, asked people. When he was done, he had dots all over that map. It looked like it had the measles. There were so many dots. So the real question is, does the world need another storage facility? So to continue his market research, his task was to call 5 of them and ask the question, do you have space available? And we expected if everyone said, no, we don't, we're full, the world does need another storage facility. But what he found was in all 5 cases, they said, well, we got plenty of space, come on in, please. If you come in today, we'll give you the first month free. So his conclusion was the world did not need another storage facility in that 5-mile radius area. And so he did not do that. So the market research as part of your market plan is, again, a good way of deciding whether it's a go or it's a no-go. A lot of ways to do market research. Said you'd be surprised how much data is available in your library, your local library. The librarians are usually very good at helping you. A lot of online information, a lot of government websites, lots and lots of places you can get research data. And then you need to understand your customer. Where are they? What are they? What's their demographic? Age, gender, income, education, home ownership, things like that. And then who are they? Are they high-end people, low-end people? What do they? Where do they shop? What do they buy? If you're going to compete with Walmart, you know that they compete on price. The high-end department stores on, for example, shoes do not compete on price. So the more you know about that customer, the better off you are. For your marketing strategy, part of your marketing plan identifies how you're going to approach the market and what you're going to say to the market so they will come to you, because marketing is the process that brings customers to you. Look at the competition. Again, decide on what is your niche, what do you have, and what are your advantages that nobody else has? What makes you unique and special? And like the Human Bean across the street from Starbucks, they've figured it out. So when I first looked at it, I said, whoa, boy, that's really risky. But they seem to have figured it out. And I understand there's more than one around the country. And in some cases, they're plopped right next to a Starbucks because they figured out how to compete that way. So again, understand who your customer is and what is the result that they want and need. What is it you're going to do for them and what do they get for it? One way to decide that is to identify that customer's persona. And identifies the specific customer. You have a specific, again, marketing message and approach that's unique to each and every persona. So for example, let's take Al's Bike Shop. Al's Bike Shop is going to cater to left-handed female bicycle riders, professional women, college educated between the ages of 25 and 45. They own their own home. So you say, boy, that's pretty specific. Well, you're right, it's very specific. But when this particular individual hears the marketing message of the bike shop and is in the market for a bike, that's exactly where they're going to go to shop. So what might we know about this person between 25 and 45? Well, you might know that they are probably riding for exercise or for sport or for competition. And so you talk about in your marketing message about being able to ride fast, and hard, and comfortably if you're going to ride for long distances, and safely, because the left-handed bike is designed for a left-handed bike rider. That doesn't mean if a right-handed person comes in, I won't sell them a bike, but that's not the target market. Now, how might that work? Well, let's take a left-handed female bike rider, professional between the ages of 65 and 75. Unlikely she's riding for competition. It's more likely that she's riding with grandchildren. So the marketing message, although similar to the younger woman, is distinctly different in terms of why they're riding. So the marketing message might say something like, if you want to keep up with your grandchildren, come buy one of Al's bikes. Now, if you mix those two messages up, so if you want to ride for sport, you want to ride with your grandchildren, and now you're talking to two different personas, neither one knows who you are, and you get no business. So you want to be very specific about your marketing message that targets that persona. You also, in your marketing plan, want to talk about your product, your pricing, your promotion, and the place. When you talk about the product in your marketing message, you want to talk about what it does for the customer, how it's unique, and how it meets that customer's needs and wants. So Al's Bike meets the needs of the younger woman to ride fast, ride great distances, ride high speed, and ride safely. Pricing, again, that is a strategic marketing tool. Pricing is a marketing tool. It's not a finance function. It tells your customer a lot about the expectation of the product. Because if you exchange the word value for price, the customer is buying value. They're buying what they get for their money and what they perceive the value to be. So come back to my Starbucks and human being story. People go to Starbucks because they think they get a certain kind of value. People go to the Bean because they think they get a different value. And the two organizations price accordingly. So pricing is a marketing tool. It's not a finance function. Promotion is your advertising. That's where you place your marketing messages, how you reach the customer. And then place is where the product and service gets to the customer. And I'll tell you, Amazon has really figured this out for a lot of people, that they love getting product on their front porch. Not everybody, but I'm probably as guilty as anyone of logging on to Amazon, and 3 minutes later, I've got it ordered, and 24 hours later, it's sitting on my front porch. So think about that place. As you talk about your product or service in your marketing mix, you want to talk about it from the customer's point of view. You read a lot of websites, even some of the pros get it wrong. They tell you about the product, Nobody cares about the product until they understand what it's going to do for them. So you always want to talk about it from the standpoint of the customer's need or want. Example, let me give you the example of the lowly paperclip. I could tell you about the paperclip. It's made out of steel, it's springy, it comes in colors, it comes in different sizes, but that's not why people buy a paperclip. Think about why people buy a paperclip. It's not because it's metal, not because it's springy, not because it comes in colors, not because it's in different sizes. They buy it because it holds their papers together. It also allows them to take the paper apart without it dogging or earing the corner. So if you've ever stapled something and try to untake the staple, it's hard to get the staple out. Then you try to run it through the copy machine, it jams. The paperclip is the perfect product compared to a staple. And if you want to take the papers apart, put them back together again, and maybe copy them. So you talk about it from the customer's point of view, what that means to the customer. Price, again, is a strategic marketing tool, and the lowest may not necessarily be the right way to market your product, because people, again, pay for value, and price is just the measure of value. How much are they willing to pay to get that value? It's very interesting if you go in a restaurant that serves cocktails. Many times the cocktail menu does not have the price of the cocktail on the page. You may not have noticed that. A lot of restaurants don't put the price of that cocktail on the page. So you order it, have no idea what it's going to cost. You would pay for it anyway because you see value in that product. You're going out to dinner, you want to have a nice night out, you want to have a drink before dinner, you pick a cocktail off the menu, it's part of the price, you never think twice about paying it. So again, lowest price may not be the best way to go about it. So how do you think about price? Well, think about it in terms of the pricing pyramid. And every market looks like this. It's a pyramid, it's a triangle, where the number of potential customers at the lowest price down at the bottom, there's the number of potential customers you have is the greatest. As you go up the pyramid in price, you have fewer and fewer and fewer potential customers. So take the car market, for example. Down here at the bottom, you've got used cars, and there are more used cars sold in the US every day than all new cars combined. That's because, again, people perceive value in a used car less than a new car, but they still perceive value, and maybe they just don't want to pay that new car price. People that buy a new car will be willing to pay that new car price because they perceive value. And again, as you go up to your luxury cars, you pay more and more money for them because, again, people perceive value. Well, let's take an example of that. Let's take Bob and Ann, for example. Bob and Ann are twins. Bob and Ann, Ann was born a couple of minutes before Bob, so she has one view of business. Bob has a totally different view of business. They're different people. They both are in the grass cutting business. But Ann calls this her business, Ann's concierge lawn care service, and only contracts by the season, and manicures your lawn, and teams edge your lawn, they blow off your driveway, they pull weeds, they give you custom service, they just do a terrific job. Your lawn looks terrific, and people are willing to pay for that because they want their lawn to look really terrific. Bob, on the other hand, has a totally different view of the world. He calls his business Bob Cuts. That's what he does. He cuts your grass, period. His team shows up, the lawnmower comes off the truck, cut the grass, lawnmower back in the truck, guys are gone. Got weeds, not Bob's problem. You got grass on your driveway or sidewalk, not Bob's problem. You need it edged, not Bob's problem. He just cuts. Bob has a tremendous number of customers and has fewer number of customers. Bob is relatively cheap and is relatively expensive. And believe it or not, both models work and they both make about the same amount of money. But again, using very completely different business models. Again, for example, Ann keeps her team on all year round. So in the wintertime, they take the lawnmowers back into the shop. They clean them, paint them, shine them, rebuild the engine if they need, sharpen the blades, and get them ready for spring. So when the weather turns nice, out goes the crew, the lawnmower start, away they go. Bob lays his entire crew off in the wintertime and then hires them back again in the spring. Bob does no maintenance on the lawnmowers. So when he goes to start them up, maybe half start, maybe the other half don't. So it takes him a couple of weeks to get his crew back on the road again. But eventually he does. It's just a very different business model, but they both work. So you want to think about where you are in the pricing pyramid. And we have an entire pricing seminar talking about how you make that decision. But see how pricing becomes a strategic marketing tool for Ann, because she provides a tremendous amount of value and people pay for value. And Bob, people don't want a lot of value. They just want the grass cut. As my dad used to say, if it's green, we cut it. And my dad never worried about the weeds. So, it's a different value proposition that people have, but both work. So you want to think really hard about that in your business planning process about where you're going to price your product. Part of that marketing mix, again, is promotion. So this is where you spend money on advertising, trade shows, catalogs, flea markets, social media, websites. This is where you spend your money to get the marketing message out into the world to bring people to you, because marketing is the process of bringing people to you. Place, and you need to think really hard about where that's going to be, what customers' expectations are in terms of delivery. And if it's something that people want to touch and feel before they buy it, then that's one thing. If they don't, they go to Amazon and just take look at the picture and say, yep, I need one of those. And they buy it, it's put on their front porch the next morning. That's just something to think about. You also should have at least thought about an operational plan, because that's where your costs are. You're going to have a building, you're going to have space, you're going to share it, you're going to lease it. How's it going to work? How do the customers get access to it? Are there going to be suppliers? You're going to have support staff, services, employees. In any unique requirements that you have, if you're opening a beauty salon, you might need water to wash people's hair. Zoning is always a consideration. So anytime you're thinking about a business, no matter where it is, you want to make sure that zoning allows for that. And the zoning people are very friendly. If you go and talk to them first, they're not very friendly when they come and put a red tag on your front door and said you got to close up because you don't meet the zoning codes. As you think about your business, I believe, and others tend to agree, that the world is moving to an experience economy, that people are paying for experience. They value experience. That product is one thing, but that's not good enough. It's the service that goes with it and the experience that goes with that. If you don't believe that, fly out to Vail, Colorado, and buy a one-day lift ticket. Because I think the last time I looked, a one-day lift ticket was $300. You can get on the ski slope at 8 o'clock in the morning. The last lift goes up at 4. You got to be off by 4:30. You take nothing with you. You have nothing to show for that except the experience you had in skiing in Vail, Colorado. Oh, you might have a broken leg. That'd be great. The same thing is true of Disneyland, Disney World. People pay for that experience because they value experience. So you want to think about in your business, at every step of the way, how can you give them that experience that's going to wow them? I'm sure we've all had an experience where we've gone to a new restaurant. The food was okay, but the service was superior. We just felt welcome. The way people were attentive. It was paced properly. The food was good, but I'm going to go back. And I'm sure you all had experience where you've gone to a restaurant where the food was really good and the service was horrible. You're not going back there. So it's experience matters. So in your business, think hard about where in your customer's journey with your business that you can wow them at every turn. If you're going to have employees, think hard about what that means. Employees double your workload because you not only have to do your work, but you've got to train them, watch them, teach them, help them, supervise them. So that takes on extra work. Because things like how you're going to pay them, what's their schedule, do they have procedures, how are you going to train them, job descriptions, all that thing has to be considered if you're going to have employees. And you need to think about the legal environment also. Does your business require licensing? Does it require bonding? Do you need permits? Are there regulations from the health department, OSHA, building codes? Do you need insurance? What structure are you going to be? Are you going to be a sole proprietorship, a partnership, an LLC, an S Corp, C Corp? Those are all things you should think about and talk through with, again, your business advisor. And it should be clear in your business plan what your legal structure is going to be. If you're going to have inventory, that means you need suppliers. So how much are you going to stock? Where are you going to stock it? How's that going to work? What happens if it gets lost, stolen? So again, think about that really hard. And we always recommend that you have a group of personal and business advisors. You can have a board of directors if you want, but things like an attorney, an accountant, insurance agent, tax advisor, people that you should have in your phone that you can call them and ask a question to. Because you can't be a lawyer, an accountant, insurance agent, all at the same time. We're just not that built that way. So get an advisor where you can ask the kind of questions you need to ask and have people that can answer those for you, including your mentor and advisor. Financial plan is very important. We have, again, a whole webinar on financial planning, so I'm going to skip over that. But the whole concept behind the financial plan is to understand a picture that looks like this. We have dollars going up and down. We have time going left to right. Dollars up are positive, dollars down are negative. And so if you start up your business and you have some upfront expenses, so you immediately start in the hole. Before you even open up your business, those startup expenses put your bank account in the hole. Then, if you have some fixed expenses like rent or utilities or insurance or internet or web hosting or web fees, you pay those month after month after month. So again, you're spending more and more money every month, even before you maybe have any customers walk in the front door. So what does that look like? Well, okay, now you have some sales, and sales may not start the very first day. It may take a couple of days or a week or some to get your sales to go. And you sell things and you make a profit. But the profit may not be enough to cover all of your other expenses that you have and start paying back your upfront costs plus your fixed cost. So what really happens to you is your bank account starts to go down because you've got your startup costs plus your fixed costs. Now it's going down, 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 down because your sales haven't covered them yet. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you start to make money and this curve starts to turn around. But when you get to the point where your profit equals your costs, all of your costs, your fixed cost, then you start to put money back in the bank. And you come back to here, and at some point out in the future, you get all your money back. You've now broken even. So it takes this kind of time before you start putting money back in your pocket. And down here at the bottom, you've got to have enough money down here at the bottom to weather that storm. And so if your plan is better than that, then you don't need all that money. But if it's worse than that, then you need more money than that hole down there at the bottom. So you want to think about that really hard in your financial plan. And I've had people that everything looks good until we put these numbers together and they just don't have that kind of money. And they can't get it from the bank. They don't have a rich Uncle George. So it's a great idea, but they just can't afford to do it. And you want to think about as much as you can your startup investment, all the things you're going to have to do to get your business up and running. And as you run your business, is remember that cash is king. If you run out of money, you're out of business. It's the lifeblood. Cash really is the blood that pumps through the veins of a business. So controlling cash, knowing how much cash you've got is critical to your business. And if you and I were to work together and you're starting up your business, every time we get together, my first question is going to be how much cash you got. And you should know that on a very regular basis. Certainly no more than once a month, more often if possible. So what does cash look like? Well, cash is the combination of what you have in the bank, your accounts receivable, again, money that people owe you, and accounts payable, money you owe other people. So if you buy things with your credit card, sooner or later, you're going to have to pay off that credit card. So that's an accounts payable. If you let people buy an account, they owe you money, and that's an accounts receivable. So cash is really the sum of those three numbers put together. That's how cash you got. We get together, we look at cash, and we said, okay, if cash is going up, that's good. If you get more and more cash, and it's month over month, there's more cash coming in, that's great. If it's flat, that may be okay. But if it's going down, and this is the second or third month in a row it's going down, we got a problem. And we got a problem, so we have to dig into it. So let's dig into it a little further. How much money do we have in the bank? It's going up, that's good. It's okay if it's flat, but if it's going down, that's bad. Okay, so that may be the cause of why our cash is going down because our money in the bank's going down. Well, that means we're spending more than we're bringing in, so that's not good. Let's dig a little deeper. This is money that people owe you. If it's going up, that may be good if your business is really growing and you've got more people putting stuff on account, but it may not be. So we need to talk really hard about that. If that's going down, other people owe you less and less money. That's good. Now, what happens over here? I had a gentleman that owned a lumber company, and he had contractors coming to him buying contract supplies to build homes. So this number had been continually going up, and I didn't get to him until the 2008 happened. You may remember 2008 was the housing crunch. All of his contractors that owed him money went out of business. He was now $30,000 in the hole with no chance of ever collecting it because they were out of business. That almost cost him his business. But it took him years to collect enough profit to pay that $30,000 back to himself. Accounts payable, again, if you're borrowing more and more money on your credit card, that could be good if your business is growing, but if your business isn't growing, that means you're getting deeper in debt. And that may mean that's why your cash is going down because you're deeper in debt. You owe more and more money. So we got to work on that, fix that. If that's okay, if it's going down, it's good. So this is how to think about cash. What do you do next? So think about where you're strong and where you can really make the biggest contribution to your business. And where do you need help? Where do you need to get shored up? So if you're really good with numbers and you want to do your own books, that's fine. If you're not, get a bookkeeper. Do a mission and vision statement. Go to ohio.gov, starting your business. There's a first stop packet of information. It's a wealth of information. Think about your business plan. And then as soon as you can, meet with a SCORE advisor or any advisor. I think we do a really nice job. We have set chapters all over the country. We've got thousands of mentors. I'm sure we can find one that can help you. Besides, we're free, and we're confidential. We have a lot of people that sponsor us and give us money, so we thank them very, very much. And there we are. That's how you find us. So I will stop, answer any questions you have. If not, class dismissed, you're free to go. But you're welcome to stick around and listen to questions if people have them.
All right, everybody. You can raise your hand, type in the chat or the Q&A. Kathy, what address do you need?
The address that we have on the page right here.
It's actually, we just moved, so it's Suite 209.
Oh, that's right. We're in 209 now, aren't we?
Oh, she's saying it's 2 slides back, so I'm not sure. Was it a web address maybe of some sort? It was a web address. she's saying.
www.business.ohio.gov/starting. That's a wealth of information. Again, talks about if you need permits, you can start there to file your LLC or the name of your business. There's all kinds of things you can do from there. It's one of the better websites for Ohio. Some of them are pretty horrible, but this is one of the better ones. I'd say it's great. You need a lot of patience to use Ohio's websites or anything that you do with Ohio, but this is one of the better ones.
She said, thank you so much. I learned a lot today.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Al, you covered a lot today.
We did. We did.
Looks like there's no questions.
Well, thank you very much for attending. At our website, akron.score.org, you can find other webinars. You can sign up right online. And Laura's going to send you a copy of the slides and the recording afterwards for your listening and looking pleasure.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And Al, thank you. And
Welcome. Thank you all.
have a great day.
Bye-bye.